Whether you operate one forklift or thousands, one location or hundreds, the new My Toyota customer portal can help you optimize your operation and material handling equipment. This one-stop, free-to-use platform is designed to help you take control of your information and make smarter decisions, all at the touch of a button. Register and access your data today at my.toyotaforklift.com. That's my.toyotaforklift.com. Step, step, step. Do you know how many steps your warehouse workers are taking a day? When your workers are walking, you're losing money. Endless trips to the printer or computer add up fast. Newcastle's mobile industrial carts with integrated power eliminate the walking to stationary printers and computers, keeping workers focused on high-value tasks, often doubling their output. Thousands of powered cart installations, including ones at the new warehouse's own micro-fulfillment center and in my previous jobs, prove that Newcastle customers get more done and save money. To learn more, head to newcastlesys.com. That's newcastlesys.com.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin Long with the New Warehouse Podcast. I'm here at Manifest 2023, and I am in the Pitney Bowes booth with Stephanie Cannon. She's the Senior Vice President, and she's the Head of Global Platform and Network for Pitney Bowes. And we're going to talk a little bit about Pitney Bowes, what it is that they do, which is a lot of different things. But we're also going to talk about their new collaborative type of program where they work with like Plus One Robotics, Ambi, and also Gattaca. So, Stephanie, welcome. Well, not welcome, I'm in your booth, but thanks for coming on the show here. Absolutely. As we're recording. So tell us a little bit about Pitney Bowes first, maybe for people that are not familiar with exactly what you guys do.
So Pitney Bowes Global Logistics, if you think about what we are, we're really the digital and physical side of B2C global e-commerce. So with that being said, 10 years ago, we were one client, eBay, $12 million in revenue. We're now more than 51% of all of Pitney Bowes overall. And we really are highly focused on the carrier services that we offer, and we're built around B2C.
Yeah, interesting. And I definitely see also your buildings some too. I'm in New Jersey, and there's one on the Turnpike I pass all the time, like in Jamesburg. So, I see you guys around, certainly. And so tell us a little bit about, if a company is looking for some help in the e-commerce side, like why would they come to Pitney Bowes?
Yeah, Pitney Bowes, I think really because we offer a really unique solution and how we consider ourselves design delivery services. Okay. So that keeps us at a place where we're really consultative, we're really there for our clients, we're really building sort of that end-to-end e-commerce solution for them. Right. We're not just doing their carrier services, right? We're doing all the digital and the physical side from click to doorstep.
Okay, very interesting. And so now part of that too as well is you have these new collaborative partnerships, right, with like Plus One Robotics and Ambi. So tell us a little bit about that program and how that kind of came about, and why do you guys think that's like necessary for the next step in e-commerce?
So as we were building out our network, we really had to think about, we had so much capital, we had to build out all of our warehouses across the industry. And when we really thought about how we were going to build those warehouses out, we really had to think about, if you have so much capital, you really need that to be able to, I guess what you say, build out the concrete, build out the high-speed automation. And another way that we looked at it is we went through a collaborative innovation where we went out and looked at emerging technologies, and we said, how can we build partnerships with these emerging technologies and really try to figure out how do we solution and create solutions around some of our really challenging projects or problems within our warehouses. So things that are monotonous jobs, high turnover, places where we can preserve cash, capital, and using robots as a service as a model so that we can continue to get to the unit economics we need to. And then also too, just data, right? Data is so important, and a lot of these technologies really enable us to have the data that's needed to drive better customer insights as well.
Very interesting. And I'm curious, what do you guys see as for a company that's in e-commerce and they're looking to expand and they're growing and taking the next step, I mean, what should they really be looking at in terms of like their automation journey?
Yeah, so in an automation journey, I think what you'll see is in the market, being on the forefront of these technologies is really critical, because through the Collaborative Innovation Program, what we really do is when we're partnered with them, it allows us to be able to not only be in the forefront of this technology, but allow to deploy it very rapidly and quickly throughout our operations, but also deploy it as we actually need it. So the flexibility of being able to deploy it when it's needed, how it's needed, and only when it's needed, right? And so if you think about that journey too, the collaborative innovation approach, really what it allows us to do is to work hand in hand with these companies to build the solutions and the product roadmaps together. And what that does is it really drives the innovation of that product and actually brings it to market a lot quicker.
Interesting.
When you go out and just do RFPs, right, people come back with a solution, but you really were collaborative while you were doing that solution. So that collaboration allows you to be able to build exactly what you need, how you need it, and deploy it very rapidly in the market.
Interesting, yeah, and I noticed you kind of like harped on the collaborative part there, which I think makes sense, right? It's in the title of the program. So, but from that aspect, I mean, the collaborative sense, I mean, what would you say, for somebody that's listening and thinking like, oh, maybe like this is the same as a integrator or something, like what's the difference between the collaborative approach versus like what you just said, like, going out and just getting what the solution is already? Yeah,
the collaborative approach is you're really starting, you're solving the problem together, you're building the product roadmap together, right? So versus going out and saying, hey, this is what I need, go solve it. And then they come back and then you're going to have iterations after iterations after iterations. It may not be the right solution that you need. It really takes a long time to be able to do that. The collaborative approach, what that does is it allows us to enter into right before it's even designed, right? So they really understand the requirements and what we need. We're constantly going back and forth and developing that solution together. So in the design phase, you're actually developing what you need very rapidly. And when you're collaborative, you're constantly talking back and forth when that's happening. And then when you do get to a proof of concept in a pilot phase, right? The collaborative part of that is that we're working together hand in hand and we're making changes very rapidly within that prototype and that model. And so that allows us to get that done incredibly quick, and then that way we're able to also too have all the metrics that we need in order to be able to scale quickly. So you're sort of building out that value proposition of that technology very, very quickly.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I think it's a great point right there, because you're definitely speeding up that process. I think, which is a huge thing, because oftentimes I think companies sometimes they realize like they need to automate and ramp things up, and they want to do it tomorrow, but it's going to take months or maybe a year to figure it out. So, and part of the reason is, like you said, because you have these different iterations, you're trying to figure out what's the right fit, and if you're able to do that from the beginning, which it sounds like you guys are able to do, it makes a huge difference.
It also delivers the communication. Like when we're developing through a collaborative innovation program, the partners we're working with are working with our hourly employees to really understand the problems. They're working with our management team, right? They're getting feedback from them. We're giving feedback, right? And then when we test and pilot within the warehouses, we're having the employees working on the test pilots, working with those systems. So not only does it allow early adoption of the technology, and that also allows them to be successful as well. If you just come in and you put in a piece of technology without actually, and so when I say collaboration, it's not just us in the company. It's like collaboration from even the executive team clear down to the hourly. And so that brings adoption as well. So when we roll these things out in the warehouses, we've talked about, okay, guess what? We're upskilling our workforce, right? We're creating development paths for them to have new jobs. We're creating certifications. They become robot operators. And so they really start to own those pieces of technology, because not only they were there during the design phases as well, and they feel that their feedback was really taken into account, which ultimately we really care about their feedback. They're the ones using the systems. They're the ones doing the jobs day in and day out as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and I love that you touched on that, and that you guys include the actual person doing the job in the collaborative process, because I think that's huge, because so many times you see a solution get rolled out and basically the employee is what were you guys thinking? Like, it's like you never even came to the floor to even ask us like what we thought. And then you have, the resistance as well on that side. So the fact that you're taking that approach, I think is huge. So I'm curious in that sense, as you're collaborating with these hourly workers and the people on the floor actually doing the jobs, what is some of the feedback like when you start to bring in different automation and robots and things like that? Because I think for a while, there's concern that, robots are taking jobs, right?
Yeah.
But like, how do you tackle that kind of mindset, or what's the feedback been?
So by having them really helping develop the solutions and stuff, but also having them working with the robots on the floor and creating what I would call a career path for them, saying, hey, listen, we have a new job now, it's a robot operator. It's a value proposition. It's retaining talent. It's really crazy when you walk into a warehouse and you see people taking selfies with their robots and naming. They name their robots that they work with, and they're really engaged with that technology. But then they constantly too. They're the first ones to give you feedback. Hey, if something's not working right, or they feel that something could be improved on, they're telling you rapidly, and we're able to make those changes super quick. And the feedback that we've had has been really great. I mean, just the excitement, like I said, the naming of the robots, just the excitement you see in people's faces when they get to work with them too. And also too, they really believe that they're working in an innovative company too, versus just doing a monotonous job all day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even, I've seen in some studies as well where, employees now are actually, especially in like highly dense warehouse areas like where I'm at, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, where employees are actually like leaving companies that are not investing in tech because they know they can't be as productive as they could somewhere else, or they're doing extra labor that like they really don't have to because the tools are out there now, right? So it's very interesting what you guys are doing, and I love the approach that you're taking there too. I think it's really smart, especially that involvement from the floor as well. So as you're looking at automation solutions and looking at what's next, I mean, what do you think from your perspective is like the next big thing in automation for the warehousing world?
For the warehousing world? I think about it in a few different ways. I think from a warehousing perspective, I really do think at some point, if you think just right outside the four walls, you think about the yard operations, right, and getting autonomous. I think really what we need to see in the market is they got autonomous vehicles, and then you have like intelligent platforms. I think we got to figure out a way to get those types of companies together where we can start to be really intelligent about how we automate the yard in order to optimize the inside of the warehouse. So trailers are coming in, what's inside, using like the technology to say what's inside of these trailers, which ones should I put on the door first, the technology that's then pulling those on the doors at the right times, at the right places, on the right doors, that way we can flow those buildings incredibly optimal, because then we are able to optimize all of the automation inside the warehouse as well. So I think that is where we really need to see some innovation in, because you're seeing innovation on both sides of it, but not I don't think anybody's really interconnecting those together yet, which I think is next. And then the other part too is we've been working with Gatic now, and I know that's outside of the warehouse, but Gatic, for us, transportation costs are our second largest cost in our P&L. And it is really, really important for us to be able to figure out how to supplement capacity in the market. We have driver shortages. Also, as we continue to just need to have more and more routes and more ways to be more efficient, like Gatic, what they've done is sort of really solved a unique problem for us, is that middle mile, right, where it's they're only going a certain mile, a certain radius a day, it's a repeatable route and things like that. So that's another place that we're investing a lot of time and energy in, is sort of that automation of the transportation. Yeah, definitely. I think that's like a huge opportunity as well too. And in that same regard and sense, how far off do you think we are from seeing like that type of autonomy like on the road? So I think you're farther off seeing the autonomy of crossing state lines because of the federal regulations, but I believe and I can be a little off on this, but I think it's 25 states or more have fully adopted and said that autonomous vehicles are allowed, right? And so I think where you're going to find it come very quickly is in that middle mile, which means it's not leaving state lines. It's going smaller routes, repeatable routes, right? And there's a huge market for that and a huge use case for that. There's a huge use case for long haul, right? But I think that's just farther out because you have to deal with all the federal regulations. So we do see that if you like picking the right use cases and the right things, I think it's going to happen. There's already humans outside of the trucks. Gaddick has already got humans outside of them and running fully autonomous trucks in certain areas. We will only have people in those trucks for a year, and then we will remove them. And for us, it has nothing to do with replacing the routes we have. It's really actually adding additional capacity because we can't fill routes. Oh,
interesting. So you're actually adding additional routes too to increase your capacity and also maximize the capacity you have.
And it's repeatable and unbelievable amount of data we get back from those trucks is going to help us be more intelligent about how we run our transportation network, which will also continue to reduce costs.
Wow. Very interesting stuff that you guys are doing. And I think like I said before, I mean, I love the collaborative approach. I think it makes so much sense, especially when you're venturing into figuring out these automation solutions and all these new technologies that are coming out all the time. So really interesting stuff. I mean, we're here at Manifest, right? So why don't you tell us before we wrap up here, I mean, what do you think your one big kind of takeaway is from the show for like the e-commerce fulfillment world?
That's a really hard question. And there was so much here. There were so many great things here. I think for the e-commerce world, I think what I would take away is when you're working with technology partners here and you're walking around Manifest and you're thinking about who you want to work with, is really finding partners that are willing to collaboratively work with you, right? And that are able to like build, like I said, I keep saying, build product roadmaps with you. Companies that really don't want that collaborative approach, I think that makes it harder to actually get stuff deployed, get buy-in from the executive teams to sign those off, and also get buy-in from the hourlies and the management teams that are working with those technologies. So that's what I would say, when you're looking at this, make sure you're finding good partners.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just even, I was talking to somebody about this earlier, but like even looking at just the diversity in all of the, companies here and what they're doing. I mean, I think it's just like, our industry is so ripe for partnership like that and collaboration to be able to really find like the perfect solution that like end to end and make sure like all the parts flow together and make it make sense, which sounds like you guys are very much working on through the collaborative efforts. So yeah, very interesting to talk to you, and I really enjoyed hearing about what you guys are doing, and I really appreciate the fact that you guys are involving the warehouse worker too. I think that's a great thing. So thank you for that, and thank you for talking to me. So if people want to learn more about Pitney Bowes, how can they do that?
Yeah, you can get online and look up our website, as well as you can contact any of us as well.
Okay, great. And we'll definitely put all that information at thenewwarehouse.com as well. So Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me today.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want more content from the New Warehouse, check out our new video series called All Hands on LinkedIn. Just search for the New Warehouse on LinkedIn and follow along.